It's wild how one harmless night, the kind you look forward to all week, can shatter your entire life. I never thought a little joke, something tossed out just for a cheap laugh, could cost me everything I loved. But here I am, telling you how I wrecked my marriage in front of a room full of people. And how my own stubborn pride was what really did me in. My name is Morgan, I'm 32 years old, and what happened that night still keeps me up sometimes, replaying every word I said and wishing I could snatch them back. You'd think after all these years, I'd know better than to cross a line with the person I loved most. But sometimes you get so wrapped up in playing the part of the fun one, you forget how much your words can cut. So here's how it happened. How my life fell apart over something that, at the time, didn't even feel real. It started out as just a regular night at my friend Samantha's house. There was music, wine, laughter bouncing off the walls. I was in my element, telling stories, making everyone laugh, just soaking up the attention. And my husband, Ethan, he was there too. Ethan's 35, the steady, gentle kind. The one who keeps the peace, who never tries to steal the spotlight, who quietly takes care of our two kids and makes sure our lives don't spin out of control. Even when I'm too busy acting like a teenager at her first party. But I can be a lot. I know that. I like to keep things light, keep people entertained. Sometimes that means I get carried away, and that night, I definitely did. We were all gathered around the kitchen island, talking about what life looked like for us now. Who's working, who's staying home, who's managing to juggle everything. I had a glass of red wine in my hand, feeling bold and loose, and that's when I said it. I laughed, a big theatrical laugh, and said, honestly, I'm the one running the whole show at our house. Ethan just works and takes care of the kids, but I'm the real boss, I'm the one holding everything together. The whole room went silent. Just like that. My friends glanced at Ethan, waiting to see how he'd take it. I thought he'd roll his eyes or laugh it off, but instead he gave this tiny, tight smile. I could see the hurt in his eyes, even though he was trying to hide it. And in that split second, I could have stopped. I could have said sorry, changed the subject, hugged him and laughed it off for real. But that's not what I did. No, I doubled down. I kept talking about how I paid the bills, made all the decisions, kept the house together. Even though, if I'm honest, I'm not actually great with money. I've always been impulsive, a little reckless, the kind who shops when she's bored and hopes it all works out in the end. I even started making fun of that, acting like it was quirky and charming, when really, Ethan's the one who has to pick up the pieces. Finally, Ethan spoke. He didn't raise his voice or make a scene. He just looked at me and said, Morgan, you act like you do it all, but you're the one who spends too much and doesn't think about the future. I'm the one keeping us afloat. His voice was low, but it cut right through the noise. For a second, I felt exposed. But instead of apologizing, I made another joke, tried to brush it off, even told him he should be used to it by now. I saw the pain on his face, the embarrassment in front of our friends. I knew I was hurting him, but for some reason I just couldn't stop. I wanted to be funny more than I wanted to be kind. The rest of the night was awkward. People tried to keep the party going, but the mood was dead. Ethan stayed quiet, barely looking at me. On the drive home, I tried to act like nothing was wrong, but he didn't say a word. When we got inside, he went straight to bed. No good night, no hug, nothing. Did I apologize? Not even a little. I poured myself another glass of wine, told myself he was just being sensitive, that he'd get over it like he always did. But deep down, I knew I'd crossed a line, and I hated how that made me feel. Still, I pushed the feeling away. The next morning, everything was different. The house was colder, heavier somehow. Ethan barely spoke to me. He made breakfast for the kids, packed lunches, all without looking my way. I brushed it off, pretended not to notice, but I could feel the tension like a storm cloud hovering over us. As I was making coffee, Ethan finally turned to me. His voice was flat, but I could hear something new in it. Something final. I'm tired of being the joke, Morgan. I'm tired of you making me look small in front of everyone. Acting like I don't do anything for this family. I froze, coffee mug in hand, staring at him. Part of me wanted to cry, but instead I got defensive, like I always do. Ethan, it was just a joke. Why do you have to take everything so seriously? You know I didn't mean anything by it. I tried to sound casual, but my voice was shaky. He just shook his head. You never take anything seriously, Morgan. You never take us seriously. That stung more than I'd ever admit. But did I apologize? No. I made a snide comment about how maybe if he was a little more fun, I wouldn't have to be the one carrying everything all the time. The second it came out of my mouth, I regretted it, but I couldn't take it back. Ethan's face changed. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was anger, disappointment, and exhaustion all rolled into one. He didn't say anything else. He just walked away. The rest of the morning was painfully silent, the kids totally unaware that anything was wrong, thank God. I wish I could say I tried to fix things. But I didn't. I went through my day, telling myself he was being dramatic, that he'd get over it. I distracted myself with chores, errands, scrolling through my phone, anything to avoid dealing with the mess I'd made. But things didn't get better. That afternoon, when I checked our bank account, my stomach dropped. The savings account was empty. Ethan had moved all the money. I panicked, called him over and over, but he didn't answer. When he finally called me back, his voice was icy. "I can't do this anymore, Morgan. You don't respect me, you don't respect our family, and I'm tired of being the only one who cares about keeping us together." I begged him not to do anything drastic, promised I'd change, pleaded with him to forgive me. But the more I tried, the less he seemed to care. He just kept saying he was done, that he couldn't keep living like this. That was when it hit me. He wasn't bluffing this time. I'd pushed him too far, and there was no going back. I still tried to pretend it wasn't my fault. I kept blaming him, kept telling myself he was just too sensitive, that he should have let it go. But deep down, I knew it was my fault. The next few days were the loneliest I've ever felt. Ethan barely spoke to me, barely looked at me. We lived like strangers in the same house, only talking about the kids, never about us. Every night, I lay awake thinking about everything I could have said, everything I could have done to fix it, but I never actually did anything. Friday night, after the kids were in bed, Ethan finally broke the silence. He sat down across from me, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I'm leaving, Morgan. I can't keep pretending everything's fine. You don't respect me, and you never take responsibility for anything." I wanted to scream, to cry, to beg him not to go. But my pride wouldn't let me. Instead, I blamed him for everything, brought up how he'd taken the money, how he was shutting me out. He just shook his head and said, "You really don't get it, do you? I've been carrying this family for years, and you just keep taking." I can't do it anymore. The next morning, I woke up and he was gone. There was a note on the counter, "I'm taking the kids to my mom's. I need space. We'll talk later." That's when it really sank in. I'd lost him. I'd lost my family, my home, everything that mattered, and all because I couldn't say two simple words, "I'm sorry." Did I call him? No. Did I try to apologize? Not really. I sat in that empty house, feeling sorry for myself, telling myself he'd come back, that he always did. But he didn't. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew even heavier. He came back for his things, barely said a word, just packed up and left. I tried to tell myself I'd try harder, that I'd change, but honestly, I didn't know how. I was too used to being the victim, too comfortable blaming him for everything. I'd make half-hearted apologies, but they weren't real. I just wanted things to go back to normal without having to do the hard work of owning up to what I'd done. I started to realize how much Ethan had actually done for us. The bills, the little things that kept the house running, the way he'd always picked up the slack when I fell short. Without him, everything felt like a mountain I couldn't climb. And still, I refused to take responsibility. I spent my nights scrolling through old photos, remembering the good times, wishing I could have one more chance to do it right. I'd see the kids' faces and feel that crushing guilt, knowing they deserved better. Months passed, and the distance between us only grew. We became two strangers, only linked by our kids and the mess I'd made. And even as I tell the story now, I know I haven't really changed. Not deep down. I still struggle to say sorry, to admit how much I hurt him. Maybe one day I'll be able to face it, to own up to what I did and finally let go of my pride. But right now, I'm just a woman who let her own jokes, her own stubbornness, cost her the person who loved her most. Maybe I'll never fully understand how I ended up here, but at least now I know. It wasn't the joke, or the money, or the party. It was me. If you're listening, if you're reading this and thinking it can't happen to you, trust me, it can. Don't let your pride cost you everything. Don't be like me.